Hello, everybody. Today, this is the Stitch Fix Public Algo Hour series. And today we're delighted to have Fei Long from UNC. She's a marketing professor there. And she's going to talk about optimally designing an online retail marketplace. I'll turn it over to Fei.
Okay, thanks Beck for inviting me, and thanks Stage Fix for hosting it. I really appreciate it. So I can't really see your video, so if you have any questions, just feel free to jump in, and I'm pretty flexible about when you ask questions. You don't have to hold it to the end. So today I'm going to talk about recent work, optimally designing an online retail marketplace, leveraging information from sponsored advertising. It's a joint work with Professor Kinshuk Jarath and Mikhail Safari from Columbia Business School. So before jumping into the talk, just a little bit about myself. I joined UNC last year as assistant professor in marketing, got my PhD from Columbia Business School. And in general, my research interest is incentives and contract theory and how that can be applied into business, especially marketing, like digital marketing and platform design. And one of the examples is try to understand what are the long-term impacts of platform algos. So the idea is that for any change in the platform algorithms, it's likely going to cause some long-term strategic reactions from different players on the platform, like sellers, consumers. So in this case, game theory can give us a tool to understand what are some of the potential longer-term strategic reactions. And today's talk is sort of follow this stream. Okay, so I don't really need to motivate online retail marketplaces. It's just getting so popular everywhere, and it's getting more and more popular over years. So at different countries, we're seeing there are some big dominant marketplaces. In the US, we have Amazon, almost half of the e-commerce market share. In China, Alibaba, more than half share. In India, there's Flipkart, almost 1/3 of the share. Okay, so another key point about these marketplaces is, unlike the traditional retailers who buy from manufacturers and then resell to consumers, the marketplaces here, they really work as intermediaries. So they try to connect the consumers with sellers. And for every transaction you made on the platform as a consumer, the platform is going to charge a percentage of sales, what we call commissions. So over the years, this marketplace model is getting like more and more popular than the traditional resale models. Like Amazon, who started as a book reseller, now more than half the units sold on Amazon is actually from third-party sellers, so marketplace model. In Alibaba and Flipkart, they rely most of their sales from third-party sellers. And so this is like marketplace where they can earn commissions for each sales. Another phenomenon that is really interesting is they're not just relying on sales commissions. Now they're relying more and more on the sponsored advertising. This is sort of more like a traditional Google's turf, where consumers search for a keyword and Google will show some relevant links. So now if you go to Amazon, this is one of the example. Okay, sorry for the small font. This is consumer trying to find bags for women for job interview. And here you can see there is a sponsored slot, sponsored product on the very top. So here the way it works is similar to Google. Whenever consumers search for a keyword, sellers can propose a bid, and whoever bid higher tend to win this top slot. And this advertising revenue is just blowing up at Amazon. So the figure last year was 11 billion. 2018, that's like 2 years ago, was 7 billion. So it's growing like 50%, more than twice as fast as Google. And this year, in the first quarter, even as pandemic hit everything, Google ad revenue drops, Amazon is still in growth. And this year, they're projected to grow 25% on advertising revenue. So the point here is, we may think ad as a small revenue driver for the platforms, but it's actually growing very fast. And from a net profit perspective, it's actually a huge proportion of the platform net profit. And if you think about Alibaba, it's basically makes all of its revenue from advertising. So for Alibaba, if you want to be on the top slots, you have to pay some sort of slots fee. They don't call it advertising, they have some fancy name for that, but essentially you have to pay to be on the top. Here you will see that if you think about Google, who monetize through sponsored ad, the problem for marketplaces in terms of how to arrange their search results is more complicated because they have two revenue streams. They have sponsored ad, they also have sales commissions. And whatever you do to optimize this platform, you tend to have to think about the effect on both revenue streams to maximize your total revenue. Another challenge for marketplaces is, as we have said, there are a lot of third-party sellers, which means the platform does not know everything. Okay, so it's true that the platform knows a lot. They have your purchase history, they can infer your consumer preference, they have some of the past sales history of sellers, but it's just third-party sellers. They are the expert in their product. It has been well documented that these sellers have some private information about their products that is very hard for the platform to learn completely. So think about for a given product like a bag. Okay, so there are certain attributes that are easy to learn from algorithms like color or shape, but there are something that are hard to learn, like the style of the bag, which you really need domain knowledge, or whether this is in trend, how professional this bag look like. So these are sort of intangible things and just hard to learn from algorithm. And even if you think you can learn, over time, there's just something new every day. So every day there are a lot of new sellers joining Amazon. And even for one of the existing products, there tend to be constant product updates. Maybe tomorrow they change the handle, there's a new barcode. So there's always something new going on. And if the platform want to learn this from data, from sort of like consumer reviews, maybe by the time it learns, things already changed again. So here, what I'm trying to argue is because of this marketplace model, the platform has some information that sellers don't know, but sellers also have some information that platform does not know. And when you think about, we call this private information because only you know, but other people may not know. And this makes it hard for the platform to optimize the platform arrangement. Now think about the sponsored ad we talk about. So the sponsored ad is sort of like a bidding auction. Given a keyword, sellers submitted bid. So the idea is, can this advertising bid for the sponsored slot act as an information source for the marketplace to learn the private information from sellers? And can the platform use the information learned from sponsor list to refine the organic ranking? So this is sort of the idea about leverage information from sponsored ad to refine organic ranking. But if you give it further thought, wait, this seems very complicated because basically if you're going to change the organic results ranking, first, sellers know that, okay, however I'm going to bid, it's going to influence my organic ranking. Then thinking about that, they may change their bid. And this will affect the marketplace advertising revenue. From the consumer perspective, okay, the rankings seem to change. In the longer term, maybe that is going to change my search behavior, my purchase pattern. And then the platform is charging commissions out of purchase. That is going to change the platform commission revenue. So there's sort of the bigger idea that leveraging information reviewed from ad to refine organic ranking is going to cause strategic reactions from both sellers and consumers. And now the platform is earning revenue from both sponsored and organic sites. It is sort of need to think about whether doing so can benefit the marketplace. Okay, so that is the bigger picture. The question we study is.
Can I ask you clarifying questions on the previous slide?
Sure.
So my first one is, when they're bidding for this sponsored spot, are they doing it by a particular like word or phrase that they're bidding on?
Yes, good question. So here I'm going to focus on the sponsored search ad. Yes, so this is like consumer search a keyword, then sellers bid. This is the context I'm going to focus on. But this is not the only advertising format for Amazon. They also have sort of display advertising where if you're already browsing a product at the bottom, maybe you're going to see the ad from other products. So this display advertising is not what I'm going to focus on here. It's search.
Okay.
Is that clear? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to imagine kind of like when they're asking for the bids on the sponsored location, like what information they're providing that the seller can use to make the decision on how to bid. And that's is it just the keyword, or is there more context that they give?
So it's similar to Google. There is keyword. At Amazon, you can do slightly more fancy stuff. You can like target based on sort of consumer purchase, pricing, other product related factors that usually is not available for Google, because here we're under this product context. But the general framework is like, there are this keyword, which is mostly important. There are some targeting criteria you can do based on the products. They don't give information about consumers much.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, okay. But again, this is like evolving every year, and this ad business is like a few years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, but it's always changing, and Amazon don't really give an algorithm, but it's always good to monitor what is new going on. Okay. So this is question. The important context is third-party sellers, marketplaces, sellers and platform have some information that each other don't know. And we want to study optimal marketplace design. And we never talk about marketplace design. That's a huge question. And there are 2 factors we specifically focus on here. The first one, which is the interaction between ad and organic results we talk about. So if sellers have some information, and if that information can be represented by the bid, should the platform use the information from bid to refine its organic results? And to study whether platform can benefit from this, we need to think about the impact on consumer demand and sellers bidding. Another important decision is, okay, so sellers, they don't have to come to Amazon to sell. They have some alternatives or opportunity cost. So if I don't come to Amazon, where can I sell? Maybe I can sell offline, maybe I can go to Walmart. So they sort of have an outside option. So we need to consider, if Amazon start to use this information from ad to refine organic ranking, what is the effect on sellers' profits? And how that is going to change how you can attract sellers to participate in selling on the platform? Okay, so this is one lever for the platform. Another very important thing is the commission rate. Okay, so the commission rate is really going to affect the commission revenue. It's also going to affect advertising revenue. Imagine if you lower the commission rate, you tend to give sellers a little bit more each time they make a sale. So that may increase your advertising revenue. So the key thing here is platform has 2 levers. First is this information sharing between ad and organic results. Second is commission rate. And both will affect the platform's 2 streams revenues. And we want to study what is the optimal choice for platform for these 2 levers jointly optimally to maximize its total revenue. Okay, so is the question clear? Okay, good. And now before going deeper, let me give you an overview of the results. Okay, so what we find is, first, yes, okay, good news is information reviewed from ad can be optimally combined with the platform's information to improve organic ranking. So the intuition is sort of, before the platform doesn't have some of the seller's private information. Now you can learn this information from ad. And more information is always better, because you can provide better search results to assist consumer search and purchase. And if consumer purchase more, you get more commissions, more sales. Yeah, so this is from sales perspective. From the advertising perspective, it's also good. Okay, so what I'm going to show is the result is it works in this way. The seller who bid higher is going to have a better organic ranking. So there's a positive correlation between bid and organic results. And because of this, sellers know that bidding higher not only gets me that sponsored slot, it may actually improve my organic ranking. Knowing that they will bid even higher, So from advertising perspective, it's also good. Okay, so I see there's a question there. Just give me a second, and after I give you overview results, I will get to the questions. Okay, so now it seems like to be true, right? More sales, higher bids. What is the consequence? The consequence is you're going to suffer from the seller's participation. Okay, higher bids, higher advertising competition, more advertising competition, sellers are going to pay more for ad, and that is going to extract their profits. And remember, we talk about seller have some alternatives. So now for Amazon to attract sellers to sell here, they really have to lower the commission rate to ensure sellers will come to sell. And this lower commission rate will lead to lower commission revenue, even if there is more sales. Okay, so the trade-off here is really this higher advertising revenue, but the lower commission revenue because of lower commission rate. And what I'm going to get is the optimal marketplace design depends critically on sellers' alternatives or sellers' opportunity cost. Okay, so as it's getting more difficult to attract sellers to sell at Amazon, Amazon can do two things to attract sellers. They can either reduce commission rate, which means for every dollar consumer buy, it's going to give sellers some more. Or it can reduce the dig rate of this strategic listing, which means I'm going to rank organic results less dependent on sellers' bid. And this is going to soften the advertising competition and give sellers more profits. Okay, so what we will show is as sellers' alternative becomes more attractive, the platform will first reduce commission rate. And only when it's impossible to reduce commission rate anymore, it will start to reduce the degree of strategic listing, ranking organic results less dependent on bids. And overall effect is you will see the platform will realize a larger proportion of revenue from advertising than sales commissions. You can think about sort of over the years, Amazon is relying more and more on advertising. Alibaba is like entirely on advertising. You can think about because its sellers are getting more sophisticated. They can sell offline. There's competing platform like Walmart, Target, Jingdong.com. It's getting more difficult to incentivize sellers to come. And this, we want to give one of the possible explanations for why we're observing this change in platform business models. Okay, so this is a key picture of the results. Let me get to the question. What example of the tech prep information the seller had, but not platform without leveraging the sponsored listing? Okay, great question. So this is very important because this is sort of the key assumption. Think about the bag example, all right? So this bag. So the bag has, like this bag, maybe it's having some marketing campaigns outside Amazon is getting more and more popular. And in this way, its products is kind of match consumers better. But because these are external marketing activities just happen, it's hard for Amazon to learn in time. So these external marketing activities can help a bag getting more popular, or maybe it's getting endorsed by some influencers, getting mentioned by some popular bloggers. So this is one of the example. Another example is like this bag, for example, has been sitting on this website for a year. It doesn't sell well. And the sellers sort of know that they have to improve the quality, and they change to a new handle. And they know that by improving the quality, its product is going to match consumers better. But the platform has to take time to catch up with that information. And what the sellers can do now is to bid higher to try to show the platform that I'm really a good match for this consumer. So that information can be learned from bid. And the third type is they're just consumers search by a variety of keywords. And for things like toilet paper, Amazon can do a good job. For long tail keywords, Amazon is really struggle. Like bag swimming job, it's not something as common as toilet paper, and it's a little niche. And for Amazon, it's having trouble with detecting these niche needs. So in this case, the seller know that I'm selling a really professional bag for women and I'm a good match for this keyword. So this sort of information can be learned from bids. But I mean, again, these are just different examples. In general, sellers are expert and their information about products that is not captured by the marketplace, they can choose to use bid to signal that information. And this sort of has been documented by different empirical papers. So we're not just making up this assumption, it's well documented. Okay, that clear? I'm sorry, I really can't see people. Okay, cool. Now everyone is on board. What I'm going to do is zoom in a little details. Okay, so this is an agenda. I'm going to first talk about models and then analysis results and managerial implications, why we care about it. Okay, so for models, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a single slide, define the model basics, the interaction among multiple players using just plain word. And then I'm going to zoom in the details, doing some of the mathematic formulation. So if you're a math person, I think the details may help you understand it better. But if you're not into math, just the basic is good enough to learn about the results and analysis. Okay, let's start from the basics. What we're going to do is a little ambitious. Okay, so we're going to model ecosystem sellers, platform, and consumers. So the idea here is we want to build as simple model as possible to try to capture the essence of problems. So in other words, we're not trying to model everything in reality here. We're going to abstract away from some factors that is not the key focus here. So what we're going to do is to have a stylist model. What are the minimum thing we need to generate the insights we are interested in? Okay, so first we need competing sellers. That means we need at least 2 sellers. Okay, not considering platform competition here. So just one platform, think about like Amazon or Alibaba, which are dominant. And there are a lot of consumers. For 2 sellers, we only need 1 ad slot and 1 organic slot. Okay, so again here, this is not reality. Amazon has way more than 1 ad slot, way more than 1 organic slot. But what we're trying to do is to use as a simple pathways model and to keep it tractable. Okay, so what the platform does here, the platform is going to run this advertising auction. When consumers search for a keyword, sellers give a bid, and whoever wins is going to be ranked in that ad slot. At the same time, the platform is also going to decide which seller occupies the organic slot. And here, the platform can use its own information about consumers' products. It can also use the information reviewed from bid. So it can combine all the different information sources to decide who is going to occupy that organic slot. At the same time, the platform is charging a commission rate. So here you can clearly see the 2 revenue streams. There's ad revenue for the platform. There's also sales commissions. So for every sale made through the platform, either from ad or organic slots, the platform is going to charge a percentage of the transaction revenue. What the sellers do, okay, sellers is pretty simple. Sellers have to decide first whether I'm going to sell my product at Amazon. And if so, how much I'm going to bid. So here, noting that bidding 0 is always the option. So in other words, sellers don't have to bid, but they can bid if they think it's going to improve their revenue. Okay, so what consumers do, consumers are going to browsing rationally, and I'm going to be more clear about what that means. The bigger picture is consumers are strategic here. They know that this slot is ad, this slot is organic, so they're like labeled clearly, and consumers are sophisticated enough to know that. And they're going to decide whether I'm going to click on ad or organic slots based on some strategic formulation, which I'm going to get into. Okay.
Quick question for you, Fei. So sure. This is from Dimitri. He's wondering whether or not, like what type of an auction for ads is? Is it like a CPM or a CPC?
Good. Very good question. So at Amazon, it's CPC. So what the model is, when solving the model, I use CPM, but CPC, the results basically hold the same. So think about it this way. when it's CPC, because sellers only pay per click, they're going to bid higher, but they pay fewer clicks, and these sort of cancel out. So the insights from CPC and CPM are quite the same. And in this model, when I solve it, I'm going to use the simple CPM.
And just for everybody else who doesn't, who hasn't worked in advertising, CPM is cost per impression and CPC is cost per click. So neither of these are directly a conversion. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Ek. Okay, now I'm going to show a little bit math, but just bear with me. I will try my best to describe it in words. Okay, so the first thing we need to model is this information structure. As we have discussed, sellers have some information, platforms have some information, and maybe they don't know each other's complete information. And this information is going to matter for how likely a consumer is going to find a fit with the seller. Okay, so we need to do two things here. First is how to model this match. Second is how to model this private information. Okay, so let's start from the math, the match. Let's give it a distribution. So here, this is like just to keep simple, I'm going to assume the match value is Bernoulli distributed. So in other words, with the probability of M, the consumer is going to like a product. And with a probability of 1 minus M, the consumer does not like a product. And now with this Bernoulli variable, this M, we can incorporate the private information into this variable. So in this way. Okay, so sellers have some information regarding this match probability. We call it product quality. Platform have some information about this match probability. We call it personal fit. And both information matters for this overall match. Okay, so here we have discussed there are a lot of different sources for sellers information. It does not have to be product quality. All right, so here I'm just giving it name. You can think about it as a short-term sort of upgrade on the product that the platform has not learned yet. The platform knows something, okay, just to give a name, personal fit, because the consumer, the platform does have a lot of consumer information that does not share with sellers, even in the bidding auction, as we discussed. Okay, so again, here the platform's information does not have to be personal fit. Maybe it's going to have some information about competitors that seller does not know, but we just have to give a name to sort of refer to them later. Okay, so another thing is, I mean, there are sort of different information matters for consumer, but which information is more important for a particular consumer? We really don't know, right? Both matters, but which matters more, we don't know. So that is sort of, we're going to use this formulation. The overall match is going to be a weighted average between seller's information and the platform's information. And this weight, we call it consumer sensitivity. That information only consumer themselves knows. Think about today, I'm in the mood of getting a very high quality handbag, so my theta is going to be high. Maybe tomorrow, I just want to buy something that is my favorite color. So this is really subjective. It's changing time over time. It can be influenced by a lot of external factors that is not the marketplace information. So this is sort of why we think this weight is private information to consumers. Okay, so the bigger picture here is really simple. There's overall match between consumer sellers. Both sellers and platform know something. And whose information is more important for the consumers, that only consumers know. Okay, is this clear? And if you get this, everything will follow this. Okay, so one of the key things we talk about is sellers know something that platform does not know. So platform does not know this QI. So how can the platform know that? Can learn from bids. Now, whenever a consumer search for a keyword, sellers know their own product quality, and they will propose a bid based on that product quality. And platform, even though they don't know seller's product quality, now they can infer this from seller's bid. And now they will use this inferred from product quality, combine that with their own personal fit information to come up with a combined organic rank function. So whichever seller is going to rank higher on this organic rank function, that seller is going to occupy this organic slot. So this is the idea we're going to capture. There's some information that only sellers have. Now that information can be reviewed from ad, and that information is going to combine with platform's information to decide who is going to rank first on this organic slot. Okay, so here we have a little bit about this pay-per impression mechanism, but it can be pay-per-click. Okay, so this is the first lever the platform has. The second lever is this commission rate. How for each purchase, how much I'm going to take at the platform. That is a commission rate. Okay, so what we're going to do is the platform needs to choose both parameters, this information rate and commission rate, jointly to maximize the total revenue from both ad and sales commissions. Okay, any questions? Okay, so far so good. So far so good. And now just a little bit more about consumers and sellers. Okay, so we mentioned consumers, they're smart in my model. Okay, so they know which slot is ad, which slot is organic results. What do consumers want to know? They want to click on the seller that matches them better, right? They always want the better fit seller, but they don't know exactly the product quality or personal fit of each seller. What they do observe is, okay, there's one seller in the ad slot, there's one seller in the organic slot. And they're going to sort of update which seller fit them better, and then click on the seller that they think will fit them better. And I'm going to be more specific about that. Okay, once they click a seller, they will figure out whether it's a match or it's not a match. And if it's match, they buy. If it's not match, they exit. Okay, this is pretty standard. The sellers, again, very simple. We want to model sellers have an alternative. There's opportunity cost of selling at Amazon. We call that offset option. So if selling at Amazon giving them more profit than their alternative, they will join Amazon. Otherwise, they will not. And if they decide to join Amazon to sell, they can decide how much to bid for the ad slot. Again, bidding zero is always option. They don't have to bid if it's not profitable for them to do so. Okay, so
quick question. So how should we think about the mapping from seller bid and like the relationship between seller bid and product quality?
The matching, okay, so if I understand your question correctly, it's like there's a bid, which is like $3 for this keyword. How do we figure out what is the product quality? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's kind of like, would a high quality seller necessarily bid more, or what's going on?
Yeah, okay, so this is like a game theory model, and we're going to find this bidding function. So depending on the product quality level, a seller is going to have a bid based on which is a function of this product quality. And once the platform can figure out that function, they can reverse engineer it. Giving a bid, they will figure out the product quality. So it's sort of sellers, they're strategic. They will bid according to their product quality. And if the platform is smart enough to anticipate what that bidding function is, they can reverse engineer to infer this product quality. I have that results in the paper, which is a very complex function, and then which is not in the slides, but the idea is sort of there. The thing about this ideal world, everyone knows what each other, everyone can anticipate what each other are doing. And by anticipating that, they can reverse engineer to see what they're doing. Okay, that clear?
Yeah, so he said he's going to read the paper, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, just feel free to shoot email afterwards if there's anything to clarify, okay? Now let's get to results part, okay? What we're going to do is first to figure out the consumer match. Why we're interested in consumer match? Because platform charge commission for each purchase. So this is going to be related to platform's commission revenue. And seller's bidding strategy. So this actually relates to the question, how do we figure out product quality based on seller's bid? Okay, so what we solve is actually, given the seller, given the product quality, they will have a bidding strategy, which is the optimal bidding function. And knowing that function, we can just sort of reverse that function to figure out sellers' quality from their bids. Okay, so this is from the seller's bidding strategy. And this relates to platforms' advertising revenue. And after figuring out both effect on consumer and seller's part, we can do optimal marketplace design. And if I have time, I will comment a little bit about Google versus Amazon, which is more like a benchmark analysis. Okay, let's first start from this consumer match part. Okay, so think about I'm a consumer, I search for a keyword. There's one ad slot, one organic slot. What could happen? There are two possibilities. It's possible that the same seller shows up in both slots or different sellers. Okay? So if the same sellers, it's easy for consumers. I would just click on this seller. If it's different sellers, then I have to choose. And consumers will split between, some consumers will go to ad slots, some consumers will go to organic slots. Okay, now let's think about, let's do a teaser question. Who is going to click on ad? Who is going to click on organic slots? Okay, so remember, we have some consumers who care about product quality more. We also have some consumers who care about personal fit more. Okay, so let's think about who is going to click on the organic slot. If you think it's the people who care about product quality more, you can just tap in the chat 1. If you think about it as the people who care about personal fit more, you can tap in 2. So the question is, what kind of consumers click on the organic slot in scenario B? Option 1, consumers who care about product quality more. Option 2, who care about personal fit more. Okay. I can't really see your face, so I have to rely on this chat video. Okay, I like the answer. Better quality, higher bids. Okay, so it seemed like I like that answer on average. Okay, so it's like we don't really know. Maybe some will click on it, but it's possible some others click on it. It depends on a lot of things going on here, right? Let me just zoom in a little bit on that part. Okay, so here, let's first enter this assumption that seller's bid increases with product quality. We can verify this later. The thing is, I cannot get very deep into this bidding function, but this is the equilibrium, sort of the sellers whose product quality is higher, they will bid higher. And in this case, what will happen is the advertising slot is going to pick up the seller whose product quality is higher. The organic slot is going to pick up the seller who is ranked higher on average, right? They're ranked higher average of the product quality and personal fit. And this is also sort of why the answer is people think it's on average. Okay, so now there are 2 scenarios. In scenario B, I think, okay, there's one seller who ranks high on product quality. Seller I has higher product quality. But even though seller I has a higher product quality, it's still the other seller J ranks organic results. What does that mean? This means seller J really have a higher personal fit, because I know that seller I has a higher product quality. This tend to boost their organic rank function, but it's still the other seller J rank high on the organic slot. That is really a powerful signal to consumers that seller J is very high on the organic on the personal fit set. Therefore, in scenario B, it's going to be the consumers who value quality, product quality highly, they will click on the ad. Consumers who value this personal fit highly, they will click on the organic slots. Okay, so this is how this consumer decide where to click on scenario B. But in scenario A, consumers will just click on the seller. A little bit more about scenario A. Okay, so in scenario A, it's like the same seller shows up in organic slots, but it may not be exactly that seller I has a personal fit. It's because seller I has a higher product quality, and that tends to give him a higher rank function. So even though seller J might rank slightly higher on this personal fit perspective, it can be still the same seller I ranks high in organic slot. Okay, so this is how consumer purchase. And the more important part is we want to think about consumer match. So when the platform is having this organic rank function, is making this product quality positively related with organic ranking. Just overall speaking, how this is going to impact consumer match. Okay, so any idea? So the question is, as this T increases, as the seller's bid is more likely to give him a higher organic ranking. Overall speaking, is consumers to find a better match or a worse match? So if they think it's better match, give me 1. If you think it's worse match, give me 2. Oops. Let me see if I can. Okay, I think I lost the chat window too.
For clarification, you said when T is increasing?
Yes.
Okay.
So this T is this link between advertising bids and organic ranking. So as T increases, which means the seller who bid higher is more likely to get the organic result. So scenario A is going to be more likely. What is the overall impact on consumer match? Is it going to be increase or decrease? Okay, let's see where's the chat window. Oh, there's no chat window. Okay, so I would just say it's think about, let's first start from extreme scenario. Okay, what if T is equal to 1? If T is equal to 1, it means that only scenario A is going to happen, because now the seller who has a higher product quality is also going to get the organic result when the organic ranking only depends on product quality. Okay, so this is not good for consumers because you're really not using the personal fit information that is helping consumers. All right, so that is why we see that this is the total consumer match as T increases. It's going to be very bad in the large range. Okay, it's going to be very bad when T is equal to 1. The more interesting part is why sort of it's the consumer match is the maximal when T is somewhere in the middle. It's not 0. So in other words, why the optimal organic ranking will be a combination of product quality and the personal fit. It will not just be personal fit. Okay, so that is, think about at a very high level. If T is equal to 1, then this personal fit information is not going to use. That is not good. If T is equal to 0, then organic ranking are purely decided based on personal fit without this product quality information. So, however, because there are some consumers who will click on organic results, you don't want to give them something too extreme. You want to give something in the middle, something that has a higher score when by combining both the quality and personal fit. Okay, so the high level idea is there are people who is going to click organic results, and you want to give them something on average that is better. Okay, so that is sort of the information effect. How to provide a better information to consumers in this system is going to be provide a seller that averagely rank higher in this organic slot. And that is why the degree of strategic listing that benefits consumers most is going to be some value in the middle between 0 to 1. Okay, so any question about this? This is probably the most important part. Okay, so this shift.
Is there something I've seen like a lot of people don't use more of like a discontinuous function, so like you have to have a certain relevancy score in order to show up in maybe the first link or the fifth link or whatever it is. That I think that's probably seems to be addressing this concern of, right, so you want to have things that are relevant, but you also don't want people to be able to just buy ads to get into certain slots. How would you think about like a more discontinuous function? It's like you have to have a, let's say your relevancy score is above some threshold.
That's a good question. Okay, so think about it this way. At Amazon, there are like I think it's around 2 million third-party sellers. I agree that that is going to be some discontinuity here. Thinking about the majority, which is like 1.9 million, are probably not relevant. So these are like irrelevant. That's the discontinued part. But there is going to be a small group of sellers that are very close to each other from Amazon's perspective. And for this group seller, these already being selected sellers, we're going to have this sort of pattern here. But for the sellers that are ranked very low on the quality score, the irrelevant sellers, they're the vast majority of this irrelevant one. Here, we're trying to focus the one that is relevant. And even within the ones that are relevant, like they are like 10 very close sellers trying to compete with each other. And they do have some information that they know that very hard for the platform to tell. And this is where the thing will come into this picture. The seller's private information matters. That answer your question?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. So this is the most important part, consumer match. Another part is seller's bid. Okay, so I think this relates to the question, how do we figure out the quality from the bid? So if we solve this game using game theory, we will come to a bid function from sellers, which is depending on what their product quality is, we can figure out how much they're going to bid. And once we figure out this equilibrium bidding strategy, we just reverse this function to infer seller's bid. Okay, so this is how that works. And the thing we want to focus here is as information weight gets higher, in other words, as the seller's bid is going to have a bigger influence on organic ranking, a seller bid higher. So this is nothing surprising because if they know that bidding higher, not only give them the organic results, but also improve, not only give them the advertising slot, but also improves organic results, then they will bid higher. So this is sort of the competition effect. If you do strategic listing, more sellers bid higher, and this is going to increase advertising competition. Okay, so now we know these two works and cut to the final question, optimal marketplace design. Okay, so here is the platform has two levers. First is this information weight. In other words, how the seller's bid will influence organic ranking. And second is commission rate. And as you can see here, the x-axis is seller's outside option. So this is their alternatives. If I don't sell Amazon, where else could I go? How much can I get? And as we move to the right, the seller's outside option gets bigger, which means their alternatives are getting more attractive. And you will see here the key insights is here. As it's getting more challenging to attract sellers, the platform first reduces the commission rate. And only if commission rate is 0, then there's no way to reduce commission rate. They will start to reduce this information weight. So there's sort of, there are two levers, but the platform prefer to reduce commission rate over reducing information rate. And why is that? Think about it this way, okay? We talk about what is this role of information weight? It's going to help consumers search better. That means it's going to like make this total pie at the marketplace better. If consumers buy more, there's more revenue that can be shared between platform and sellers. So this means, if possible, the platform really want to make this total pie big by having this information weight at a moderate level. And this commission rate, on the other hand, it's simply a transfer of profits from the platform to the sellers and doesn't change the total pie. So this is why, if possible, the platform want to make this total pie as big as possible and just give seller a little bit more profits by reducing commission rate. And only if commission rate is already 0, I will start to reduce this information weight, because in this way, I'm not happy as a platform because doing so is shrinking this total pie. But at the same time, it's going to reduce this advertising competition and give sellers a little bit more profit. So this is sort of the bigger conclusion we have, how the platform can optimally leverage these two tools to do marketplace design to optimize its total revenue. Okay, so one last result is, this is nothing new. This just, if we compute the advertising revenue, commission revenue, have a decomposition and the percentage, you will see that as the seller's option or as seller's alternative getting a little bit more attractive, the platform reduce commission rate to make sure sellers will come, and this will reduce commission revenue. And because sellers are paying less commissions, they're getting more out of each sale, so they're bidding higher actually. This is why, from a proportion wise, the marketplace is having a higher proportion revenue from advertising. Okay, this region. In region 2, commission rate is essentially 0. There's no more to do there. Advertising revenue start to drop because the information weight start to reduce. But again, there's no commission rate. Even though you're earning less from advertising, you're just entirely depending on advertising here. Okay, so if you think about like compared to Amazon with Alibaba, like in China, Alibaba just there are millions of sellers there. It's very competitive, which means selling on the platform is going to have a very thin margin. So it makes their outside option, their alternative, just look slightly better. So they're sort of in this region where Alibaba is relying entirely on advertising to make sure that everyone is going to sell. And for each keyword, maybe some of the better sellers is going to bid a little more and pay a little bit more, but on average, everyone is going to sell if I charge 0 commission rate, but relies on advertising. Okay, so that's the most of the results. We already talked about this, and this part, I don't really have time for this, and I've just do a quick conclusion. Okay, so we started this marketplace design problem under the context that sellers and platforms each have some information that other party does not know. And this is relevant because Amazon is getting more and more on advertising, and people think it might just be a small separate revenue stream. What we show is that advertising have a bigger role because it can give you some additional information to refine the whole marketplace organic ranking. And the key trade-off is you think about the effect on both consumers and the sellers part. On consumers part, giving them better results, consumers are happy, but it leads to more advertising competition that might affect sellers. And the key result we show is that the platform need to optimally choose both levers. First is what's the degree of strategic listing. Second is how much commission rate to charge to optimize them simultaneously to maximize the benefit. Implications, we have been focusing on marketplace design, also have implications if your advertiser, how much to bid, foreseeing that your bid is going to influence your organic ranking. For consumers, if I don't want to be one of the consumers who just click from the top to bottom, what is my optimal clicking strategy to find the seller that best fits me? Okay, thank you.